Success didn't come to me by accident. It came the moment I stopped waiting for motivation and started training my mind like a muscle. For years, I thought success was about talent, luck, or timing. I was wrong. The truth is simple and uncomfortable. Your brain is either trained for victory or programmed for excuses. 3 months, that's all it took. Not to become perfect, but to become dangerous to my old limits. Here's how I rewired my brain. The first real shift happened when I stopped lowering my expectations to match my comfort. For a long time, I had big dreams, but small daily standards. I wanted success, but I negotiated with effort. That's when I realized something important. Your life never rises to your wishes. It rises to the level of what you demand from yourself. So I changed the question I asked every morning. Not how do I feel today, but what does my best version require from me today? That single change forced my brain to adapt. On days when I was tired, I still showed up. On days when results were slow, I raised the intensity instead of lowering the goal. At first, it felt uncomfortable because high standards expose weaknesses. But discomfort is not a warning sign, it's a training signal. The more I refused to accept average effort, the more my mind stopped offering excuses. It learned that quitting was no longer an option. Excellence became normal, focus became automatic. When standards rise, discipline follows, and when discipline becomes routine, confidence grows quietly without needing validation. That is when your mind stops hoping for success and starts expecting it, because anything less is no longer acceptable. The next transformation came when I stopped treating discipline as something I used occasionally and started treating it as who I am. I learned very quickly that motivation is unreliable. It shows up when things are easy and disappears the moment pressure arrives. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it tells you what must be done. At first my mind pushed back. It looked for shortcuts, rest, excuses. But every time I acted anyway, waking up early, repeating the basics, doing the work when no one was watching, I sent my brain a clear message. Over time, resistance faded. What once felt heavy became routine. My brain stopped waiting for inspiration and started responding to structure. Discipline became automatic, like breathing. And something powerful happened. Confidence grew without noise, not the loud kind that seeks attention, but the quiet kind built on consistency. When you show up every day, even on bad days, your mind learns trust. It trusts that you won't quit. It trusts that pressure won't break you. That trust is strength. And once discipline becomes your identity, success is no longer a hope. It's a consequence. The third shift happened inside my own head, where most battles are actually won or lost. I realized that talent and hard work mean nothing if your inner voice is working against you. Every time I made a mistake, that voice tried to label me instead of correcting me. So I changed the rules. I stopped allowing negative self-talk to sit comfortably in my mind. When doubt appeared, I didn't argue with it or overthink it. I moved. Action became my response. If the mind said, "You're not ready," I trained harder. If it said, "You might fail," I prepared more. Slowly, the noise lost its power. Confidence didn't arrive as a feeling, it was built through evidence. Every completed session, every repeated effort, every moment I chose action over hesitation gave my brain proof that I could be trusted under pressure. The mind learns from behavior, not words. The more I acted with purpose, the quieter fear became. Eventually, that voice changed its tone. It stopped questioning and started cooperating. When you replace negative talk with disciplined action, your brain rewires itself to expect strength instead of collapse. And that expectation changes how you perform when it matters most. The fourth shift was subtle, but it became one of the most powerful tools I used it. I started seeing success before it happened. Every day, I spent time visualizing not just the outcome, but the process, the hard work, the pressure, the mistakes, and how I would respond to them. I pictured myself staying calm when everything seemed to go wrong, pushing through fatigue when my body screamed stop, and finding solutions when doors closed in my face. At first, it felt almost strange, like pretending. But the brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is repeatedly imagined. By showing my mind exactly what winning looked like, I trained it to expect victory. My reactions became faster, my decisions sharper, and my focus more precise because I had already lived these moments in my head. The fear that once paralyzed me lost its grip. Pressure became familiar, not threatening. This daily practice created a mental rehearsal that prepared me for anything reality threw at me. By the time I faced challenges in real life, my mind had already rehearsed success so many times that it felt normal, effortful, but inevitable. Visualization rewired my brain to act with certainty, not hesitation. The fifth shift was about the environment I allowed around me, and it surprised me how much it affected my mind. For a long time, I underestimated the influence of people, distractions, and the space I lived in. I realized that my brain mirrors what surrounds it. If you stay in environments filled with doubt, negativity, or comfort, your thoughts and habits will follow. So I made deliberate choices. I removed distractions that stole focus, limited time with people who doubted the process, and filled my space with reminders of growth, discipline, and excellence. I didn't do it to isolate myself. I did it to create a training ground for my mind. Every element in my environment now reinforced the behavior I wanted to become automatic. Over time, my brain stopped negotiating with temptation or weakness because it wasn't constantly reminded of them. Focus became easier, energy sharper, and confidence stronger. The external world became a reflection of the internal strength I was building. Success is not just about what you do alone. It's about who and what you allow to shape your thoughts, your habits, and your expectations. The right environment doesn't guarantee victory, but it makes it impossible for your brain to settle for less. If you want a different life, don't wait for confidence. Train your brain, raise your standards, choose discipline, act without excuses, because when your mind is wired for success, failure doesn't disappear. It just stops controlling you.